Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Suhey with Suhey Plans, and I like to share journaling and planning content here on YouTube, as well as Instagram and TikTok. In today's video, and it's actually kind of like a part two, I am sharing planners that I quit, that I dumped, that I let go of in 2024. A couple of months back, I filmed a video sharing some other planners I transitioned out of, and I'll link that below if you want to check that out. I ended 2024 with several more in the gave up pile, and I wanted to share them with you today. Let's start off with this cutie right here. I'm going to put these guys to the side. All right, let me get my lighting. Okay. So what I have in front of you is an HP Mini. I thought that I was using a half letter discs as a work planner, and it just wasn't quite working for me. And so I thought, okay, the next logical step is to try HP Mini discs, right? They're supposed to be like a downsize from larger discs planners. I thought that was going to make so much sense. And so I picked up this mini happy planner from Walmart. It was less than $10. And I just took some time exploring the size. This cover came with the HP Mini. This is one of my own dashboards. This like checkered dashboard also came with the HP Mini, and then I just printed out and glued on Anxiety from the movie Inside Out 2. I just liked how that looked and that vibe. And then most of the Happy Planner inserts are still in here. But I really wanted to experiment with my own inserts, or inserts that I prefer with this size. And so I have some Infinite Lotus inserts in here. Yeah. And so far, that was working. And these are printable inserts from Infinite Lotus. And I think that was working, and it was feeling good, and it wasn't really, we were kind of vibing. Everything was going well. I even had some like notes inserts in here. These are from Rosie Papatri, and, some just regular grid note inserts, and just kind of giving this a try. And then not far along into the journey, I realized it wasn't about the size. It's just that I didn't want to bother with discs anymore. Maybe it's just because work is already so demanding that I wanted a planner with less maintenance. You could argue that discs in certain ways is low maintenance, but the fact that I still needed to cut and print inserts very frequently were just a deal breaker. I didn't want to make any more efforts for work than I already needed to. And so I knew I needed to move on. But I do appreciate being able to explore this size, and I'm keeping this book in my collection for whenever I get another inkling or itch to try HP Mini for something else. I can kind of use this as a reference in my stash. So I moved on from this completely into an undated A5 common planner. And that is serving me much, much better than the disc system was. Next up, here I have a Moleskine Pocket. This is 2024 daily. And I use this planner a little bit in the start of the year. Intermittently, maybe to take some notes, but towards the end of the year, I kind of really gave up on it. To start with, this was an impulse purchase. I had an urge to explore another planner, and so I picked this up. And at first I used it, I was giving it a try, and it was working for me. It kind of was like a mini notebook where I needed to take daily notes. This is where I would go to do that. And that was fine, and that was working well. But then I would say around the time that I started exploring rings, which was about April, May, is when I felt that this became redundant for me. And I say that because with rings allowing you to, personalize and customize your planner, I felt that I could create an entire section in my planner with these kind of daily notes pages without needing an entirely separate book. And so for that reason, I stopped using this particular planner. Again, this was my first pocket size, so if nothing else, I've explored that size. And I'm definitely going to be, again, keeping this in my stash for whenever I am interested in pocket size. I have this so that I can try. I did enjoy the paper. I did enjoy how compact it was and so, super cute. But I just ended up finding another way to incorporate this use into my planner. And really, in as many situations as you can, you want to try having, I do like having different planners for different purposes. But in my personal rings, I did feel like I can do more and I could take care of a lot of different things in my life. And I didn't need to be doing that in a separate book. So I dropped the pocket. But again, keeping this around for research purposes in the future. Next up, and to give you like a little size comparison, is the A6 Hobonichi Day Free Planner. What I initially thought I wanted to use this planner for was projects. I wanted to lay out, use these monthly spreads in the beginning of the planner to create timelines for my projects. And I did do that a little bit. I moved in the month of April and May. And so I did some of that in here. But then what I was finding is that kind of life took over and I wasn't able to get to the projects that I had hoped for the year. And the year kind of went on and I didn't get any more use out of the planner. And I think in hindsight, projects, projects are just sometimes things that you need to carve out time for, but, they're not always high on my priority list. And I just had other things taking up my time. And so I ended up not really focusing on any major projects through the rest of the year. And that's probably because we had a massive endeavor of moving earlier on in the year. And so I used some of these note pages. After the calendar spreads, you get blank grid. I picked this planner up, in October of 2023. So I did also DIY some calendars so I could get started in it early. But again, after our move, I just really stopped using the notes pages in here. And you'll see from about page 29 or so, it's all just blank grid. And I think the kind of where I missed here is that I think a project planner is still a worthwhile idea, but it's probably not a good idea in a dated planner. I also thought that some of my brainstorming was a little bit limited, especially when I was thinking about doing maps and charts for our rooms and where to put furniture and things. The A6 felt a little bit limiting for that as well. Again, this is my first time ever trying the Day Free, and I definitely want to keep this in my stash once again, for if ever the Day Free becomes something that I might be interested in using in the future. I don't think anything is lost in trying out new planners and learning the kind of things that work for you. So there are still plenty of wins, as I'm kind of walking through these. Last but not least, and this one was a bummer. And there were so many folks excited for me and excited about me exploring this planner. And this is the Laurel Denise Vertical Weekly Edition in the portrait layout in the academic year. This is such a great planner. And all of these planners that I'm talking about, by no means do I think that they're bad planners or, I just think that they didn't work for me, but they could absolutely work for you. The Laurel Denise, like what I wanted to use it for, I think was a good idea. But I found myself getting burned out by having to do so much work in this planner. It's a very large size. It can do a lot. It has a lot of functionality, a lot of capacity. And the purpose that I was giving to it, I think wasn't compatible with the size and the comprehensiveness of this planner. Let me kind of talk to you a little bit about what that means. So as you can see, the first month was great. Let me see if I can zoom out a bit for you guys. Okay. All right. So the first month was great. I really dived in. I really used this. What I wanted to do with this was track goals, reflect monthly, do some daily tracking, as well as think about my goals on a weekly basis. And I think this worked well and I was enjoying it, but there's a lot of work and planning happening in here. And in the month of July, summer's out, work is slowed down. I was in it. August, we get back into school and I'm maybe not as consistent. Yeah, as you can see. This is actually the very week kids went back to school. Look at that. And I guess I just got a little overwhelmed by how much this planner could do. And I felt like I needed to use all of the planner. And honestly, right, this big, gorgeous, beautiful planner, you should try to use it, right? But that got really overwhelming and I fell off the wagon in September. I tracked, I guess I was in it for about a week in September, and then I just fell off and I couldn't keep up with it. And as you can see, October is super clean, as well as just the rest of the planner. And I'm not sure if I should include this planner in this video because this planner goes into 2025. It is possible that I find a purpose for it in the new year, and then it can go back from being on the shelf to being in my rotation. I don't know. There's still like plenty of planning that can happen in this planner, but I don't have quite a purpose for it just yet. But again, I'm so excited to have tried this planner. Laurel Denise is such a popular brand. So many people find value in these planners that, again, I feel no qualms about giving this a try, realizing that it didn't work for that particular purpose I signed it for, but I'm excited to kind of keep this in my stash to see what else it might work for in the future. And it's really a shame because I look at this spread from July and it is just like pure gold, right? Like how that is so used, like that's so awesome. But I just ran out of gas with it, and I ended up doing some of this reflection and tracking in my personal rings planner instead, and in my goal planner. My goal planner didn't really have this weekly breakdown, but it did have the monthly views, the daily tracking. And I think that was probably my mistake as well. The one element that my other planner doesn't have that this did have, I guess is a good exchange, but it just felt like I was duplicating the large majority of the work when all I really needed was a weekly, like an extra page to put some weekly reflections. I didn't need an entire other new planner to kind of get that, to get what I was missing in my goal planner, if that makes sense. And so those are the planners that I have left or quit in or never used in 2024. Again, there's nothing, in my opinion, lost here. I learned a lot. And that's kind of all part of the process and of exploring your style and your systems and the things that work for you. I'm thinking about other ways to use the Laurel Denise. I'm thinking about maybe a health tracker or I don't know. It's just such a big planner. I need some big plans to go with it. Drop in the comments maybe some ideas or how you're using the Laurel Denise. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.